Yes, so what happened to Alibaba again? On the Hong Kong market, trading on the 9988 ticker symbol, the lowest Alibaba went was around 92.8 Hong Kong dollars per share. And then when it closes, it rebounded back to $96. So what other news is causing this volatility? Yes, it's another Seeking Alpha article, of course. Ant Group IPO said to be delayed indefinitely. So let's look at what are the sources that's talking about it. So it's posted on the 8th of March, 10:46 a.m. So it says that Ant Group's IPO is said to be delayed indefinitely amid China's tech crackdown on the tech industry. So bankers who last fall discussed a possible Hong Kong-based IPO of the fintech company in the second half of this year or in early 2023 are now saying an IPO is off the table, according to a report from The Information. So the article didn't went on to say much about it. It was only like 3 or 4 paragraphs. You can stay here. You can take a screenshot if you want to read it. So I was curious, and then I clicked into The Information and the link provided. And then I went to scroll down. Of course, it's paywall, so I didn't manage to read the article. But it's okay. So let's exercise some discretion and let's use our handy Wikipedia. So Wikipedia is one of the most renowned and most reliable sources out there, right? No, I'm just joking, by the way. But anyway, on Wikipedia, let's go and see what about The Information. So it's founded by a former reporter on the Wall Street Journal, and it's a subscription-based news website marketed to be tech sector executive in December 2013. Okay, there isn't really much information about this entire media company or this website per se. But of course, I'm not trying to downplay any of this information. I think a lot of all these bite-sized key insights that I'm not too sure where everyone is getting their sources from. But sure, let's assume that this entire article is true. But let's talk a little bit more about Ant's valuation specifically. So I went back to click onto the article about Ant Group's valuation, and then it's from Reuters. So probably Reuters is arguably a little bit more trustworthy. So in this case, one of Ant's investor cut their valuation by 15% to below $200 billion. So the US private equity firm, which was a big investor in Ant's 2018 private fundraising, lowered the company's valuation to $191 billion at end September from the $224 billion at end June. So this was based on the first source that told Reuters. So in this case, it's quite interesting. On one hand, there are people that are still valuing Ant Group at such a high valuation at 191B. 191 is incredible, by the way. Alibaba owns around 33% of this Ant stake, and 191 means that the current Ant stake is probably worth in the north of 60 odd B. And on the other hand, you have other news sources that are saying that bankers have been slashing Ant's valuation to as low as 78 billion. So I think if you have to look at it in totality, because it's a private company, it's not publicly valued, it's definitely a range between 78 billion to probably 200 odd billion. So in this case, I don't think it really affects me because I did previously posted a video specifically about Ant Group. So please feel free to go and find this thumbnail. But your main investment thesis for Alibaba shouldn't be based on your hopes and dreams of Ant Group going IPO. I think I did discuss extensively in that video what are some of the kinks and what are some of the problems that have to be ironed out before the IPO can come true. That being said, some of the sources that are provided on the Seeking Alpha article, it's a little bit sketchy, and of course, it's always based on someone inside, or it's based on some anonymous sources, and I can't fact check it. So unless either Alibaba, Ant Group, or even the regulators step out and say that, hey, let's just pull the rug and say that Ant Group can never IPO from here on, I wouldn't be trusting a lot of all these different sources. However, I also don't have much expectations about Ant Group going IPO soon. That being said, I know where some of the investors are coming from. If China were to allow Ant Group to go IPO, would probably also mean that the tech crackdown is probably coming to an end, and would also mean that, and would also signal that there might be some recovery in terms of Chinese equities and some of these Hong Kong listed equities. Funny enough, from Reuters, there are actually signs and evidence that some Chinese firms actually revived some of the US IPO plans after the regulatory crackdown. So we are definitely stepping in the right direction, but I don't think that everything is just going to go back to normal and go back to day zero. So with that, I'll see you in the next video, but more importantly, I'll see you on the moon. Goodbye.